Good afternoon. My name is Ed Hempel. I'm co-founder and CEO of WigWag. There we go. So one thing that's really interesting is in the last, in 2015, over $60 billion was used in electricity in the United States. And we actually, $20 billion of that electricity was a complete waste of money because it was stuff that was turned on when it didn't need it to be. It was stuff that was running that didn't need to be running. Now, the other thing that's happening over the next 8 years is we're going to go from 5 to 500 connected devices, all right? And those 500 connected devices are all things that can be turned on and off. They're all things that are going to enable us to actually save power, okay? A lot of people talk about finding where power problems are, but we're talking about actually turning stuff off, all right? And the problem, though, is we're going to have a real issue being able to turn all those different things off because they comprise a ton of different protocols and standards. So what WigWag approaches is two huge things in the market. One of them is the 20 billion devices that are going to be in the market by 2019, and the other thing is the fact that the growth of home routers is growing significantly, and that has to do with a whole other thing, which is people are watching Netflix and Hulu and every other thing else on their laptop or on their smart TV. So what we do is we approach a really huge problem in the market, which is fragmentation in protocols, fragmentations in standards. And our platform resolves this by allowing you to basically build new applications. So what we do is we create a software runtime which goes in the router, in the gateway, and it helps end users actually have new applications that are able to do cool new things in the home, including save power. The other thing that it does is it helps carriers generate new revenue with new services. It helps them create better security for these IoT devices, and it helps retain customers. So we essentially enable innovation, and what I mean by that is our software platform allows an everyday web developer that knows JavaScript to write an application that would today require a very unique embedded C++ developer. And part of the reason that you have cool stuff on your phone is those platforms exist today that people know how to program, right? But the problem with IoT is nobody knows how to program it. It's super hard, it's super confusing. And so that's what we mean by enabling innovation. Our business model is quite simple. We have a runtime license that goes into a piece of hardware and into typically a router or gateway. We also have our own thing called WigWag Relay, which runs our software. And then we have a subscription service, which updates that continuously with new device support. So our revenue model is quite similar to a software as a service company, but we do have some hardware components. Our team has actually exited multiple $400 million startups in the past. And so where we are in milestones is we've already raised $2.1 million. We're going into our A soon. We have 2 patents granted. And over the next 6 months, we're going to be doing channel fulfillment and major wins at ISPs. Thank you.
Great. Questions for Ed?
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh.
Didn't mean to surprise you.
What will be your response when, say, N-Ocean or Digital Alliance or any of these others come back to you and say, you're another standard?
Well, actually, N-Ocean came to us over a year and a half ago because they want us to support their protocol. And the reason for that is because they're one of like a dozen, 2, 3, 4 dozen standards. And so they want more support for it, right? So basically, today you can take an N-Ocean dongle and you can plug it into WigWag Relay. And we don't have the full support yet, but we'll have prototype support soon for N-Ocean devices. And it would apply to a router, too. You basically take an N-Ocean protocol dongle and plug it in. Yep.
I heard you talk broadly about security and making this more secure for consumers. Can you dive into that a little bit more about what you mean?
Sure.
What aspect?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of different cases out there. You can Google this stuff. One of the most famous is the Belkin Wemo baby monitor. You can go out and purchase it today. Belkin makes great products, so I'm not trying to rip on them. It's just an example. So the Wemo baby monitor, when you put it on your network, basically the way it works is the app. You bring up the app, and it gets a key from the baby monitor. Now, if I later go down to the Starbucks and I bring up that same app, I can see your baby monitor. And so even if I was a guest on your network, I can always see what's going on in your baby monitor, even like 2 years later. So what we mean by new security is fundamental firewalling and access control of those devices. And we're able to do that because, again, we sit in the router. And so our software runtime, when it detects new devices, it can actually manipulate the router and the firewalling table.
I would think that the logical extension of this would be a single app for all your devices. Where's that in your roadmap?
Sure. So we make an app for ours called WigWag, WigWag app, okay, that controls different things in your house that WigWag Relay can control. But understand our positioning. We don't want to actually make all the apps. People build apps on top of our platform. So in many cases, people are going to be quite happy with the Nest app, which somebody brought up earlier. It's a great app. I doubt Nest users are going to want to replace their app, right? So the Nest app still coexists. It's still there. It's just that we add new features into the network, which can allow existing apps to continue to exist, maybe the Belkin app, but we can also let people build entirely new applications that glue these things together, right? So you're essentially, you're never really going to get smart lighting or a smart home experience unless everything in your home works together as one. You can't be expected to go out and purchase the same brand for everything.
Where have you deployed this so far?
So we ran a Kickstarter. We have over about 2,000 of these that we'll be shipping out here in the very near future. I actually have the hardware in my bag. I forgot to bring it up here. Check it out later if you want. But the other thing that we're doing is we're already in the pipeline with major ISPs. So we're already in the sales cycle with them. And those are very long sales cycle deals. But one of the things that's interesting is we basically glue together ISPs, which are oftentimes at odds with the utility. And what's interesting about that is a lot of these guys are talking about power management, great power management platforms. Their platforms could basically have an app that sits in our router and helps that ISP actually save power as well. And right now, those are, in many cases, entirely separate animals.
And what do you see as the killer app on your platform? What are you most excited about that's being developed or has already been deployed?
So, I mean, we're quite happy with our own app that does a lot of home control. And we have a cool thing called the Rule Builder, which lets anyone arbitrarily create anything automated in their home. But to be honest with you, the killer apps, I have no idea. I have no idea. Because what we're trying to do is create a core platform that will let all those creative types that are out there create that. So that's our main focus.
So how are you?
Oh, I think we're just about out of time, so cut
Sorry.
that one off. Sorry. Thank you very much, Ed. Just hand it over.